vision and how it compares to the vision of other crustaceans. And before I start, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I have a little bit of a cold, so I might cough my way through this, but I'm going to do my best not to. So what is a stomatopod? Those are pictures right there on the side for you. They are a type of crustacean. And so we're talking about what that is. We're talking about the eye structure of the stomatopod and the crustaceans, the vision of the stomatopod and the crustaceans. When I talk about the crustacean parts, it's going to be very general, only because it's a very big group of organisms. And within that group, like the stomatopods, there are other organisms that have more specialized eyes. And I'm also going to quickly review the human eye and human vision just as like a basis of reference so you can know how it compares to what we're used to. So what is a stomatopod? It's in the order Stomatopoda and suborder Unocultata. That's as specific as you can get, keeping them all together because there's over 500 species of them. They are commonly called mantis shrimp or thumb splitters. Both of those names will be explained in later slides. They're typically between 15 and 20 centimeters. However, they have been known to get as big as lobsters, and there's one place in China that they found them between 30 and 40 centimeters, and so now they're doing a whole bunch of water quality tests to figure out what's going on there. They burrow in shallow tropical waters, sometimes in flat sandy areas. However, there are some of them that can actually create burrows in coral reefs. Some of the unusual characteristics are their eyes and their vision. Their vision is considered to be the most advanced in all of the animal kingdom. They're avid hunters, which is very unusual for shrimp. Shrimp tend to wait for the food to come to them, whereas these guys tend to go after their food. And because of the hunters, they have specialized raptorial appendages, which these appendages divide all of the species into two groups. It's either the spearers or the smashers. The raptorial appendage, and this is how the name mantis shrimp comes about, it's very similar to the praying mantis in that it kind of tucks under their body, which you can see right there, but it can extend out like up there. And the reason the spears get their name is because you can see the series of spears along the third section of their arm, which is the dactyl portion. As you see up here, they reach out of their burrow and grab up and will grab the fish or the shrimp that they're trying to catch, spearing them between like 10 and 20 times, depending on the species, bringing them into their burrow, and then they feed upon them. Because of this, the spears tend to go after fleshy animals such as shrimp and fish. The second type is the smashers. They still have the three-part appendage, even though it doesn't look like it. The third part is this brown section right here. That's the dactyl portion. They have evolved to have more hammer-like structures, and instead of spearing their prey, they bludgeon their prey to death. They swing out the bottom of their arm with acceleration equal to a .22 caliber bullet. During my research, I watched a bunch of videos on it on YouTube, and there's this one video titled Mantis Shrimp versus Crustaceans, if anyone's curious. It's a whole bunch of different guys in the tank with a mantis shrimp, and you watch what happens. And multiple different crab organisms, the mantis shrimp was able to take off the entire claw appendage with one swing. A lot of aquarists really like them because they are very colorful. However, if they get big enough, they can crack the glass in your aquarium tank. So it's not recommended to keep them in your tank. So the human eye structure, I know you guys want to know, so pretty quick, it's a simple eye. It has a single lens. We have two eyes. Our brain creates one picture based off the two eyes. Very simple. The eye structures of a crustacean, they have compound eyes. So from here to here is one ommatidia, and one ommatidia is very comparable to one human eye in that they each have a lens, they all have a light focusing cone. If it's not specialized, they all have pigments in their ommatidia. And here's a better picture of just one single unit. The lens, the cones, and the rhabdom is all the nerve cells and where the pigments are located. And then the axons is what takes the picture to the brain. Stomatopods' eyes work the same way in that they have all the ommatidia. They are divided into three sections. The dorsal and ventral section have pigmentless ommatidia, and they're used for motion and form. It's the midband right here, which is created of 6 bands, which you can see by the black. That is what gets them their color, and the black portions are not on the eye. That's just what happens when you take a picture of the eye. Here is the midband regions in a better picture so you can see all the specialized ones. Because the midband is so small, it only covers about 5 to 10 degrees of the entire vision field. So the fact that the eyes are on stalks that can move independently is beneficial because they actually scan their eye up and down to increase the field to about 70 degrees. Rows 1 through 4, which is there, have their color pigments and they're used to detect color. They're still doing research to figure out exactly what they can see because mantis shrimp have between 12 and 16 photoreceptors, whereas you and I only have 4, 3 for color and 1 for black and white. As of right now, they know that mantis shrimp can see the entire human visual light spectrum, as well as ultraviolet light and lights with a wavelength longer than that. They are finding evidence for the fact that they cannot see infrared light. However, it's not totally conclusive yet, so they're still working on that. The rows 2 and 3, 1 through 4 have 3 tiers. It's 1, 2, 3. The first tiers right here have ultraviolet sensitive pigments to pick up on the ultraviolet light. And then the bottom 2 tier sections all contain between the 12 and 16 different pigments to get all the color. The little black squares right here in rows 2 and 3 have intra-abdominal filters or other color filters, and there's 4 classes, 2 on each one, the 4, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Rows 5 and 6 right here are used to detect polarized light, which is when you and I cannot see polarized light. So there's not the 3-tier section, it's just the 1 and the 2, and they know they can see polarized light and they know that that's how they see it. However, they're not 100% sure how those 2 groupings work and how they can see the polarized light and what the polarized light really even looks like. So the human vision, you have something you're looking at that's like this. It goes into the single lens and it's projected reverse on the retina. The image then goes to the brain corrects the reversing, and you see what you're seeing. For the crustaceans. So I watched this movie when I was little, A Bug's Life, and the scene in kind of the beginning where they're in the circus and you see the ladybug, and like the ladybug has like 60 different pictures for their field of vision. So when you're little, you assume the bug saw about 8 billion different pictures when you're only seeing one. Kind of how this picture is, this camera was like had a 360-degree lens, and you take it similar to a panoramic, which is kind of how you get like different pixels all together. That's not how it happens. The different ommatidia of the compound eye work very similar to the pixels of a picture. Each one picks up on a very small portion of the visual field, and the brain takes all the different pixels and puts it together to get the one picture. Similar to how the humans have 2 eyes and our brain creates one picture with the 2 eyes. Stomatopods, because they have the ommatidia, it works very similar. Like I said earlier, they do have to scan up and down to get the entire visual field with color. However, because it can't get the entire 180 degrees, their vision is distorted because the top and the bottom portions are only motion and form and there's no color. However, like the part that they can scan across is colorful and has all the shapes and the movement and everything. Like I said, they have between 12 and 16 photoreceptors, so their vision is a lot more advanced than ours is. Unlike some other animals, they can actually pick up with not only color but hue, so they can detect between a bright and a dark of the same color, where some animals cannot. And they can pick up on polarized light, but they're not really sure why, because some species can give off polarized patterns on their carapace of the shell to signal when they're ready to mate, because they can only mate during certain moon phases, and you don't want to waste energy going through that process for no point. However, the polarized vision had to evolve before the polarized shell patterns, so they're not totally sure where the polarized vision comes from. In the conclusion, you don't really want to mess with the stomatopod because, going back to the thumb splitter name, the smashers, if you get close to them, they can split your thumb down to the bone. So you kind of want to leave those guys alone because they're big and they're sharp and they're scary and they can bludgeon, small animals, they're not going to bludgeon you to death. They have specialized compound eyes with the 3 parts to have a more specialized vision than what you and I are used to. And they use the ommatidium and the specialized ommatidium to have that field of vision.